Something very simple. The truth, the truth, the truth. It's true, isn't it, that you don't want to fall asleep?
All right, Thomas Bean, welcome to the Original Hustle. It is great to have you here today.
Great to be here. Thanks, Gina, for having me. I'm honored.
No, I'm very excited because on this show, the sort of premise, which I know you're very familiar with, is just to kind of jump into conversation and have a scope of maybe a topic. But when we were planning this, you actually took it to the next level and you said, "No, let's just have a conversation. Let's just go." And I thought that was a lot of fun. Appreciated the approach and actually made me think a lot of the meetings that we've been in over the years, and whether it was the office meetings or the dinner meetings where we were constantly kind of thrown into these, I don't want to say pressure cooker, it wasn't really that, but these situations where we had to um, just sort of explore conversations with others. And I had learned a lot of that by watching you early on in the office environment. So thanks for helping me learn to flex that muscle and, take this whole experience to where we are today, which I think is really a fun way to go. So, with that, my question for you really begins where you come to the U.S., I believe, on a one-way ticket, and turn that into a life. And I'm wondering if you feel that life is one that you knew or pre-planned in some way, or if it sort of just shaped you as, sort of as it went along. And one follow-up question to that, it would be, at what point did it stop feeling temporary and start feeling permanent?
Well, that's many questions into one, and pretty fundamental ones. Yes, I did come not alone on a one-way ticket with the family 14 years
Yeah.
ago. I think I had an idea of what the life would be on a professional side, because I had been working with American companies actually all of my careers. What I was enjoying, interested in discovering, but not fully grasping, was actually life in California, pointing at the greenery around me and such,
Mhm.
which was amazing. And I feel I'm still discovering. I think one of the best feeling actually is being a
Yeah.
student of your own environment and being a place where you, you think you know, and then you realize there every day you have these things that tell you, no, actually you don't. Then
Right.
you don't know what this expression means, or you've never been to this amazing place that's like 5 minutes drive from your house, and that's, I think,
Yeah.
is the best feeling. So I had an idea of the life, but at the same time, I think what I was looking for was, yeah, discovery, and I'm still in the discovery phase, and I hope the discovery phase
Cool.
is not going to end. But one of the reasons for coming here was also that I was fortunate to grow up in a very international environment. My parents were different nationalities. I grew up in a place that is, well, you
Yeah.
have almost all the nationalities in the world, even though the place is very small. And I always thought it's a great environment to raise children. It brings something extra to your culture and your personality.
Yeah.
And I was very actually happy that my own children could be exposed to the same thing, different languages. They came actually with a different language, so they had to learn. Our daughter Maya went to school first grade. She knew colors, and she she knew how to count and tell her name, and that's it. And she ended up with
Wow.
kids from Korea, from Sweden. Many of them she's still in touch with, and it was great. So it was the beginning of the discovery, but the discovery goes on. So I think
Oh,
that's
that's
the
good.
best feeling. And yeah, it takes only driving 50 miles maybe to Marine and such, and then you have another area to discover. California is pretty much like France. You drive a little bit and the cheeses change. The accent don't change as much, but the wines
That's
change as
true.
well. So that's why I feel kind of at home as well.
Mm.
The second part of your question, I actually the big difference when we moved,
Uh-huh.
unlike many other families and especially French families, when you move here, you get the question all the time, for how long are you here? And
Right.
we never had an answer. It was never like, oh, it's 3 years and then we go back. The answer was like, well, we don't know. And actually, the answer is still the same. We don't know. But yes, it feels like a, I think the right answer is that a big part of the life is here. But yeah, life can be, I believe life can be happening in several places. So yes, for sure, there is an important part of the life here. And we'll see.
Sure.
For the rest, for the future, I don't know. I'll keep on preaching or practicing what I preach.
Was there anything that you got wrong about your sort of anticipation of what it was like to live in the US and maybe work? I mean, you said you were, yes, obviously working with the US, but working with and living in can be somewhat different.
Very true. Same kind of answer. I think on the professional side, I was also changing role completely. I was going
Mhm.
into marketing from sales. So what I didn't know is it's actually pretty interesting to
Right?
do many changes at the same time. People say it's very hard. It didn't feel too hard at the time, but maybe if I would do it again, there would be I would look at it differently. But it was amazing learning experience. The Yes, California was not exactly. I think the size, the presence of nature was not quite
Hmm.
what I
Okay.
expected. I I have vivid memories of being a tourist. I remember the first time I came to San Francisco and I thought, "Oh, I could live here." I actually remember the first time I went to Sausalito, where I remember exactly where I was walking, and I thought I could live here. And one day you live here. One day the things that were 12 hours away become half
Right.
an hour or 1 hour, depending on traffic, away,
Yeah.
and it they feel the same, but they don't feel the same because you also, yeah, it becomes your everyday life. There's another the depth in the culture, in the behavior that you discover. So no, it wasn't that as expected. I was not expected the food producers to be so important in the culture, but also so good. I wanted, as I mentioned, international context, but I didn't realize how international it would be. We are fortunate to live in places where we can eat whatever food or hear any language in a world which is very important. And then yeah, there are other aspects of the life of the relationships are for sure different. Coming from Europe, you have a culture of the U.S. which is very influenced by the movies. So you come in and yes, the relationships are different. The way to work, the way to live are very different. And I think when you have an optimistic mindset, you just take the best of whatever is on offer, and then you define your own. But no, I can't say that was exactly as expected. I think that would have been a bit disappointing. But it's no, it's been amazing. The thing I think I'm most thankful for is the fact that we felt very welcome. This is a very welcoming part of the U.S. I think it's also ingrained in the culture, and you realize after actually months how much it changes the way you look at life, the anticipation for the future, the empowerment to make things happen, hence the original hustle. Very good, very good title. And yeah, it's just and then you go back to your old world, so to speak. I say this with a lot of affection, and then you feel like,
Yeah.
okay, I've changed, obviously, and it's a very interesting mindset. There's the other side of the question you asked me at the beginning, which when you
Mhm.
become a foreigner to your own country, which is also an interesting experience. There's the other side of the mirror is interesting, but what matters is that yeah, take what's on offer, be happy, and move forward. And I think that's more of a mindset that I got here. So I'm thankful for this as well.
Interesting. Yeah, and I guess that the next question that sort of comes to mind is, did you, or I don't think you do anymore, but maybe you do, I don't know, feel more like a European operating in the US, or someone who was sort of reshaped by the US?
I wouldn't use the verb reshape. I would use the word enrich. You
Okay.
can see I'm playing with
You're
words, and
playing with
yes,
words.
that's my
It's okay.
job. um, I think I've been exposed to different cultures. I've been exposed to different perspectives. I've seen their pros and cons, and hence the word enrich. I could take what I
Mhm.
wanted, and I hope I kept also my critical sense of
Sure.
which is probably pretty European, which allows me to kind of guide. I see it as almost like a palette. I'm a bit of I guess I'm an artist of my own life, and
Yeah.
I choose I can choose the colors I can tap into, and that's actually, now that I think of it, a
Mhm.
pretty good way to look at it, because I think what you learn is to tap into your inspirations or your behaviors depending on the type of work you have to do. I've been I think much better with people, actually, based on what I learned here, because it's less formatted and there's more importance to it. So I'm also very
Mhm.
thankful for that, and yes, I think I can. Not only can I kind of choose and modulate, but also I think it makes you more understanding of the people you work with. And sometimes, in what is hopefully not pedantic, you can kind of say, no, I understand where you come from. I mean, literally and figuratively,
Right.
and let me offer you another perspective. And very
Mhm.
often I work in
Sure.
international context, and yes, that has been one of the best type of learning as well, because I think yeah, hence the word enrich. So yes, I was
I like it.
enriched by living in California and working around the globe.
I like it. No, it's a good word choice. And I think it makes me want to ask you, you talked about your career and, it seems like you had an idea of what you were getting into maybe here, in terms of expectations. But, how much of your career was what you expected versus what you stepped into?
Absolutely zero. I very
Right.
often address this topic in interviews, because I like to ask people in
Mhm.
interviews, especially in the first interview, "Well, will I see you in 5 years and or 2 years?" Just to see what. It's not a test. I don't see it as a test. Like, okay, bad answer, wrong answer. It's more like, do you have an answer? And I, for one, never had a good answer. I never said, "Oh, I want to be head of this, or I want to be this plus that," because I've tried not to. I didn't have a linear career. It was not planned. What I think I had was an opportunistic mindset, and I think things came to me because of this. And when things come to you, some people like, "Oh, what do they want?" And others like, "Oh, tell me more." And maybe that's interesting. And I've been always driven by the hunger to learn and to discover, and maybe even to reinvent myself a little bit. And this is why when I studied physics, I had no clue I would end up in tech. When I started as a developer, I didn't know I liked pre-sales, but I discovered it on a path because I had the opportunity. Pre-sales to sales was very organic, just like stepped into the role because I think I was very driven by the relationship and what we build with prospects and customers. And then marketing was the person who called me one day out of the blue, who we both know, and told me, "Hey, you want to work at a different level? Join me in Palo
Right.
Alto and in the marketing." Thank you, Raj, for this. And then I discovered yet another world, but it was not planned.
Right.
And I wouldn't change anything. Actually, I love, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the future is going to bring. Because I try to protect and maintain this mindset. Like, hey, whatever's coming, if I can create value, if I can learn, if I can be surrounded by very smart people that are way smarter than I am, and we can
I
build
love that.
something. Yeah, absolutely. This is why I'm working right now where I'm working. So, and working with the people that I'm working with.
Awesome. Well, and I don't know that I can agree with you're surrounded by people that are smarter than you necessarily. I think you have a good sort of mixture of disciplines, but you've made quick work of um taking marketing, I think, to a whole nother level, which I think is all just attributed to your um ability to not only adapt but to sort of embrace where you're headed. And so I think that's pretty amazing, and to do it in such a way where it's also in not your first language that you're working in is kind of another piece of that puzzle, another level that it goes to. And I can't help but wonder if some of that goes back to your sort of physics mindset. So you started in more of a scientific, I think, role, right, of what you maybe were setting out to be, and then somehow you made this decisive jump that you were talking about. I think, is that the jump into sales maybe? And, is that like all the particles sort of collided and then you found yourself in in marketing? Like how do you explain that?
Did you sneak in a physics analogy in the,
I
in the
did.
particles colliding? Okay. Are you telling me that my career was a Brownian movement, which is like all the particles move and then the only thing that goes up is heat and pressure? No. No, actually, I studied physics out of curiosity.
Okay.
And I, yes, I was attracted to sciences.
Hmm.
Um, because of the system I grew up in, which is the French system, which is very focused on sciences, which is kind of in a good and bad. It happened that I was not too bad at it. But physics always had an applied nature to it, which really attracted me. I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of friends who have went way further in the studies in math, and I respect them. And I
Right.
respect their ability to abstract and think deeply. But to me, physics was the one because there's this connection between the physical world, and that even is a frontier that we keep on discovering.
Right.
But I could always go back to a certain form of common sense. So there has to be, I think the application of it was to me what mattered and what interested me. That at the end there's something concrete. Again, a lot of respect for math, but
Right.
there had to be, and I
Yeah.
think that's what ultimately attracted me to other roles. But there was no big jump because uh, I don't know what my parents would say about it if back in the day. But yeah, no, I went to physics because hey, it's interesting. Let me go there. Did I have a plan? Not quite. Yeah, but then I went into tech based on my father's advice and discovered another way to do concrete things and use my brains and solve
Okay.
problems. And yeah, the path to sell. So it didn't feel to me like I had a big jump. And again, it's more opportunistic. Hey, this seems interesting. Oh, yeah, let's try. And I never had a. When something interests me, then I have a tendency to jump in and say, okay, let's see what's what, and what we can make happen. I'm not like agonizing for like years, like how should I go and stuff. The
Right.
only thing at one point that I considered doing when I was
Mhm.
was taking going out of physics and going architecture because I have an immense respect for
Right.
designers and architects, and I love that's also I have a ton of respect for architects or designers of anything. It could be cars, it could be watches, buildings, and
Yeah.
I love. I have a lot of respect for the process of making something functional, but in the journey, something makes it beautiful as well. So that's what I think is the best type of design. So yeah, that's no big jump. Just
No.
hey, there's light. It's interesting. Let me get in and see how it goes.
Small jumps. Okay, so that's. I think I was anticipating some of that, so that's good. And I did actually. I forgot about your passion for
Hey,
architecture, so that's also very cool and puts a lot of pieces of the puzzle together for me in terms of the conversations that we've had over the years. And I guess it would, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about, you talked about your world travels, and I've had the opportunity to do some of that with you through work as well. And, in particular, there was a defining moment that I'm sure you recall. But
yeah.
I think it fits on a couple of boxes here. One is that it's about sort of your ability to adapt, your ability to look at a moment and sort of seize it and take it, and it's something to the next level, something that we still talk about, I think, to today. And so I couldn't not mention what we've deemed as your French moment, and I wonder if and not that it has, I mean, there could be other great ones that we recall, but was that a moment that you was there any sort of out of context when you were there that you had to like rethink about how you showed up, or did you just decide, hey, I'm just going to lean into this, and I'm French and I have expectations on certain things, and I'm going to let you tell the story, but because I haven't said what it was we were talking about that brought us to the French moment. That's going to be for you to tell us about. So please.
Okay, yeah, sure. The original French moment, because there were there were quite a few after, was indeed
Yeah,
we were in
wasn't an
Singapore.
isolated French moment.
Yes, it was the beginning of a stream, a not ended stream of
Yeah.
a French moment. But yeah, we were hosting customers on a very famous place in Singapore, which actually is on top of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And it's sunset, and it's the end of a great event where we had hundreds of customers and prospects and such. So, and we're hosting, you and I and the whole team,
Yeah.
and we're hosting. So that's I'm giving context because it's not all pedantry. Uh, it's and the I'm proposed champagne, and I swear I have not even I just reacted organically. I have not thought about it. I had no audience back around me. It's just that I
No.
reacted. It's like, hey, do you
Yeah.
want champagne? And then maybe I was jet lagged and tired, but I'm not looking for excuses. I'm like, is it French champagne? And which to me feels like a normal question, but saying it again is a bit awkward, but that's okay. Uh, and um, and the person doesn't know, and I'm like, okay, well, if it's not like I'm not having any, bring me a bottle of French champagne. So I was mostly driven
Mhm.
by the fact that we were hosting, and I wanted to make sure our guests had the best of experience, and we had made choices on the quality of this experience. I just wanted not only for me that we met them. So yeah, it might have sounded a little bit like a lecture about champagne being only made in France, and sparkling wine, which is excellent, which may be made, I don't know, in Napa, is almost as good and made with the same methodology, but cannot be called champagne. So that's the pedantry. But I don't think the person took it too badly, but the person was surprised for sure. But I think it's mostly so I react this way with the person. The person goes away. Eventually, came back with actually the bottle, so I could I could assess if it was French or not. But the surprising thing to me is that I didn't notice that you and quite a few others were watching me. So it was a bit of an awkward silence, and you're like, "Okay, what did I do? Have I been myself again?" Sorry. So that was the infamous French moment that we still laugh about all these years. But
Yes.
yeah, it came. I'm trying to. I want to do things that we're all proud of, and I want to
Yeah.
build experience and offer experiences that people remember. We do remember this one, but I do think there are other reasons why people remember this evening. So it's a French
Yeah.
moment, but maybe the European side you were alluding to means that I may sound or be a bit rough around the edges compared to some of the to some of the American standards. But that's yeah, so be it. It's
No,
me
no, no.
trying
Just
doing my
direct.
best.
Just
Yeah.
direct. Yeah. That's okay.
Yes.
And that's good.
Oh,
I mean, I
that might
think
actually be because I'm half Dutch and half French, and I might have inherited from my father a certain sense of being direct, which is something that I
there you go.
appreciate a lot. This is why I love working with Dutch people, South Africans, Australians as well, because it's well
Mhm.
cut. There is an issue, you address it. I appreciate this so much
Yeah.
in work and in life.
Yeah.
And it's more rare than we think. So
On that, we can agree. I didn't necessarily think of the cultures that were involved, but I think that's always been one thing that has made it very easy for us to work together is that you are direct. Sometimes, it does make me laugh because you're super direct, but
I
but
apologize, but
but
yeah.
it's not. But it's actually it is really helpful. I mean, I know I tease you about it sometimes, but it is actually a great. I'm a fan of working in that way because ultimately, you can cut to the chase, get to the point, move on, and then have time for a glass of champagne or something else. So I think with that, thank you. Thank you very much, Thomas, for joining me today here on the show. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next one.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. Love the initiative. I'm honored to be among the first guests, and yeah, can't wait for the next ones.
Thank you. Thank you.